Broadcasting from the beautiful Great Lakes state of Michigan, I'm Tom Bartholomew, your host of the Michigan Contractor Show. And I worked in the construction industry for over 25 years. I started on a job site when I was 14, working for my dad on a vinyl siding job. Now I spend all my time running a digital marketing agency where I help contractors and companies in the skilled trade promote their business and reach customers in ways they never thought possible. Again, my name is Tom, and let's get to today's guest.
My guest today has the largest indoor showroom in northern Michigan with full slabs of granite, quartz, soapstone, and marble. Their indoor showrooms, located in Williamsburg and Cadillac, allow you to choose from hundreds of colors and patterns. They also offer a variety of price points to accommodate your budget. In addition to natural stone, you'll find 9 engineered quartz lines providing a color for any style. I'm talking about Cadillac cut stone, and I want to welcome today to our show, Terry King. Thanks for joining me today, Terry.
Thanks for having me, Tom. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you again. So tell us about Cadillac cut stone.
Okay, Cadillac cut stone. I've been operating up here now for 13 years. Prior to owning Cadillac Stone, I worked for a large granite quartz company down in Farmington Hills, Michigan. With that said, I've seen an opportunity in northern Michigan to promote not just high-end granite and quartz, but give customers a variety of choices and different price points without having to drive downstate, which was kind of the normal. There's several distributors down in Grand Rapids and the Farmington Hills area that were clients were being sent there. And I made it a lot more convenient setting up the locations and knowing the material that people were interested in. Obviously, the northern Michigan region, it kind of exploded here, so it just turned out to be good timing for myself.
Excellent. And I know that I've seen a lot of your work. It's beautiful stuff, beautiful countertops. So Terry, you kind of touched on that you worked in this industry before you came up here. Kind of maybe tell us how you got your start in cut stone.
Okay, well, it goes back 31 years now, but I'm a transplant, so I come from the Livonia, Farmington Hills area. And way back when, I took a position at a granite marble company. They told me I was just going to unload and load pallets of granite and marble with the high-low. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I didn't have that much going on in my life then, and took the position. And it was actually a growing company with just a small amount of employees, and kind of learned the product. I always had a good rapport with customers and customer service way back from my paper route back when I was 9 years old. So sales kind of came to me rather easy, and found it interesting, the product, not just being from Mother Nature, but the different characteristics and the different clientele that we were serving back then. So just kind of grew on me. Then I had a vision of opening my own business like a lot of people do, and here I am.
All right. So they started you on one thing, and then you ended up doing something different with the forklifts and then moving on from there.
Yes. It's still the same business per se. I was more on the material sales end of things. But as I grew through the prior company, I was able to go to a large amount of fabricators and different facilities and kind of seeing what they were doing. It seemed to say a little bit more interesting to me than just running around trying to sell material, which was kind of getting boring after 10 years. So that fabrication end, which is more customer oriented, now we're dealing with the client firsthand. I have control from start to finish on the selection of goods, the measuring, the fabrication, from A to Z, to be honest with you, not just supplying material and that's it. So that kind of been a game changer. I enjoy it, to be honest with you.
Great. Terry, you said that you're a transplant, and I know that you have the showroom, that your main showroom is in Cadillac, or that's your main spot, your location when you moved up here, your first one. Tell me, why did you pick Cadillac of all places? I mean, I love Cadillac. I'm from that area, but why did you pick it?
Well, my brother-in-law had been up here 8 to 10 years prior, and I'd spent a lot of time in this region. I'll back up a little bit. I do have partners in business, PMP Marble down in Troy, Michigan, that have helped me immensely. So it was kind of a halfway point per se. There really wasn't another granite company anywhere near. I found a decent piece of property on Boone Road here at a fair price, and kind of worked out well. I could cover a lot of ground. Obviously, I'm like 1.5 miles from US 31, so I can get to Manistee, I can get to Traverse City, I can get to Kalkaska, I can get to Roscommon, just in a decent amount of time. So, although I do travel farther than that, just user-friendly location as far as being able to commute to different locations in northern Michigan.
Yeah, definitely. Cadillac has access to 131 and other 115 to go in that direction and up north. So, yeah, I can see why you would pick Cadillac, and it is a beautiful location. I grew up in that area, definitely. So you move up here, you start out, was business good right at first, or tell me kind of how that process went?
Oh boy, that's a nail biter. I actually made a commitment on this property and the business right around, well, we opened in 2008, so that's kind of bad memories for a fair amount of people, but that's when we decided to open based on the construction of the building and our game plan. Kind of a recession back then, but actually I felt confident. My partners, we had a game plan, a business plan, a line of credit, and things that might have helped me compared to just going totally by myself as a startup. The first couple of years were definitely nail biters, like any new business. Trying to get my name out there, trying to promote my business and my product. It took a little time. Actually, I tell people that ask me, it took me all of 6 years to maybe, let's say, get over the hump, which is, again, a market, client base, referrals started coming in. And since then, it's been growing, kind of consistently. The construction is really hot right now, especially over the last 3 years. The last 3 years have just been goofy up here as far as the amount of either remodels or new construction. There's a lot of lakes up here. I can't count them all. A lot of people from different areas that have vacation homes that are looking to upgrade, or a lot of people working from home, should I say, where they're spending more time in their house. So, knock on stone, it's been a nice ride for me.
Wow. So 2008. So when a lot of people they're losing their business, or maybe going out of business, or wondering how they're going to continue on, you're starting a business. And I think that you touched on it right, that you had a plan, you had some backing, you had some partners, you've been in the industry, so you had a really good idea, and you found a market where there wasn't a lot of competition.
Yeah, correct. Especially the idea of bringing all this material up that really others didn't have, or not the need to send customers for long trips to see, material. That was my niche, and it still is to this day. We're still bringing in a quantity of all kinds of material, whether it be natural quartzite, natural granite. Engineered quartz is another product. It's a man-made product, but I have all the samples of that. So just my background of kind of knowing what's hot and what's not kind of like helped me.
I could see that definitely, that someone that doesn't know that or have that history or those connections with the PMP, like you were talking about, that it would be very difficult, especially in 2008. I remember that. I was doing construction in 2008, and I can remember that very vividly. Things just started, I had some business and I continued on. I didn't lose my business at that time, but it was definitely, like you said, I'd been in business, and now I was getting a nail biter at the end of it, after 2008. So that's great. So I've seen a lot of your photos on social media and stuff, and your countertops are just amazing. They shine, sparkle. They just really go with everything. And it almost looks like they were made for that area. Do you have like maybe some interior designers or something that help with the builders?
Oh yeah. My Williamsburg store, Cheryl up there, who's great. She's actually a licensed interior designer. She went to school for it. She came from another granite company downstate as well, so she kind of already had a game plan as far as selling material. But yeah, we offer a full service. Selection of material is critical. We really are not, per se a pushy kind of business. People spend a lot of money at this product, so we want to make sure that they're making the right decision. We offer samples to take home. We encourage customers to bring in a floor sample or a cabinet sample to kind of complement what they're already planning on doing. A paint swatch could be handy as well. But we have a broad amount of material, so there's really, if you don't find it here in my Williamsville location, you're going to have trouble because there's really not too much more out there. Maybe a few stones here and there, but we tend to have the majority of the stones in the industry that are selling anyway.
Yeah, it sounds like it between the two stores there, and it's nice being able to have somebody, like if I have a room, I can bring in photos, samples, stuff where you can kind of match it up and make that countertop just really, really go with everything else. That's great.
Oh yeah. It's it's a purchase you're going to make more or less one time. I mean, once in a blue moon, there will be a case of buyer's remorse, but very few, to be honest with you. We qualify the customer. We have the customer feel in touch with their purchase, and we explain the process. A lot of times we'll go through the motions of even showing the customer where we're going to cut it, where the seam is going to be, how the veins are going to match, what to expect. So the day of installation, a lot of customers are on edge anyway. Like, anytime you spend a large amount, even in my home, when I spend $5,000-$10,000, what it might be for a driveway repair or someone doing siding or windows at my house, I'm there. I'm kind of not nervous, but I'm foreseeing, looking what's going on and making sure I'm getting what I'm paying for.
Yeah, even if I'm spending $100 or $1,000, I'm going to make sure that they do it right. I don't want to waste any money on a contractor.
Yeah, our business is a little bit sensitive too. I mean, it's a product typically from Mother Nature, which has different characteristics to it. We're dealing with a lot of job site obstacles, or whether it's new construction doesn't give me as many fits, but a lot of times we're doing remodels and cabinets might not be level, even though the clients might not know that. And we're trying to retrofit things in spaces that have been there a number of years. It's really a tricky business in its own way. The sinks have gotten larger now that we have to watch how they fit in the cabinets, make sure the faucet has rooms to clear, things of that nature, like little technical things. It's really a skilled trade. It took me a long time to get the right staff and the procedures down to be where I am today.
Yeah, I've done some kitchens, when I was in construction, and I remember doing, just wood countertops or whatever with Formica on them, and even just measuring them is a trick or a skilled trade in itself, because walls are not straight, in the way the countertops and the builders have put them in. So, Terry, you talked about your showroom and this and that. Do you work with the public and with builders, or?
Yeah, I've got a decent mix, to be honest with you. I do work with the general public, which does make up a fair amount of my business. I have a nice core of builders that have, latched onto me, and I do their work consistently. And I deal with several kitchen and bath shops too. So I've got a nice little mix. Actually, we've done some commercial work too. We've done 80 rooms at the Park Place Hotel. We've done 35, 40 rooms at the Bayshore Resort. We've done some financial institutions. We've done a few restaurants. Lower end on a commercial, just for now anyway. I mean, if you take a ride through Traverse City, I think that might change a little bit. This looks like Vegas there now with the construction going on, per se.
Yeah, you touched on that earlier. everyone that I have been talking to and all my customers that are builders are just talking about how it's just, like you said, the last 3 years have just been, right now it's booming. It is going crazy. In Traverse City, I was just up there, and you're right. There's just so much construction going on everywhere.
True.
Yeah.
That's so, why Williamsburg location was really a gold mine, to be honest with you. I was doing a lot of work in Grand Traverse region. I put a feeler out there to see if I could find a building in a decent area. A couple years later, the phone rang, and a building was available on M72, right down from the casino, which happens to be not far from where I live. So, my eyes lit it right up, and was able to secure that building, and tremendous amount of car traffic, easy to get to from Traverse City, from Torch Lake, from Bel Air, et cetera, et cetera. So that location really kind of took me to the next level, per se. The Cadillac location is still a hub. I still get a nice rapport of customers. All the remnants are here, by the way. So all the partial pieces, all the cutoffs are in my Cadillac store. So that's always been a good business as well. To this day, I sell a tremendous amount of remnants for small projects, whether it be vanities, fireplaces. I've done cutting boards. So I really have, stones in all price ranges, all sizes. I treat all the jobs the same pretty much. Everything's laser templated. Everything goes through CNC equipment. Everything gets installed by my crew. So whether it be a small project or a mini mansion up on Torch Lake, they're treated all the same.
Okay, so the remnants, you kind of touched on that a little bit. Let's talk about remnants a little more for maybe somebody that doesn't know what a remnant is. Can you kind of explain that a little more, what that is?
Okay, in layman's terms, let's picture going to Home Depot and buying a sheet of drywall where you only need really a third of it, to be honest with you, but they don't sell a third of it. So the remnants are what we call partial pieces that are left over, for a better lack of terms, on previous jobs. Right now we're cutting stone 6 days a week up here. And with that, a tremendous amount of remnants are being created. So they're either a half a slab meaning a full sheet of granite, which originates, most granite slabs they start off maybe 65 inches wide by maybe 118 to 125 inches long. So you can picture a fair piece to start with. And a lot of kitchens or a lot of projects might use 1.5 slabs or 1.25 slabs. So here's where the remnants come into play. They're still top quality. There's a variety of them, and they are discounted because they're a little trickier to promote, let's say. I do a lot of bathrooms, but also a fair amount of my business is kitchens, where the remnants won't work because in my business, the material needs to be fabricated and cut like kind of like a loaf of bread. We'll call that a die lot, for better lack of terms. Everything's got a control number on it. It'll say, the material slab number 1, slab number 2. So as you're doing stone, you want to make sure the stones match so the veins come together. It makes for a better job. Very few, if any, contractors would mix die lots on any given job. So the remnants, they're growing, to be honest with you. So they're discounted. There's engineered quartz, there's granite, there's quartz. Everything I sell in full slabs are available in remnants.
All right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense on the remnants. Instead, you have these extra pieces. I know carpet stores will do the same thing, right? They have these extra pieces, and and to put it out there, since that's not your market, you don't advertise, hey, we sell remnants. So you discount those a little bit. So somebody looking to get maybe their countertop in their kitchen vanity or something like that, and it's just small, they could come in and check out. Now, the remnants are only at the Cadillac store.
Correct. They are inside. They're all in a heated building, and they're all pretty much organized by size. You're going to want to make sure you bring the blueprints or a drawing of what you're proposing to do to make sure the remnant will fit. So a typical vanity might be 22 inches wide. Well, if you're doing a backsplash, now we need a piece 27 inches wide, so on. So that's advisable when you come into any granite store, especially my store for remnant. You want a sketch, and it doesn't have to be down to the 16th of an inch. It just needs to be a little primitive, and that way we know that the remnant will fit. But it is a market that I am starting to promote more because the remnants ain't going away, and I really hate to dispose of them. It's almost like tossing money out. The only pieces we dispose of are real small pieces that are small in size and unusable. And even with that, I have a good relationship with the concrete facility down the street where I'm able to dump them, if you can believe this, with crushed concrete that they offer, and they grind it all up. So my scraps sooner or later end up in roadways throughout northern Michigan. So it's a recycling type thing, which I'm proud of.
Well, I think recycling anything in today's day and age is a great thing. Absolutely. So, Terry, when you started and even now, you've had to advertise somehow. Tell us about what advertising channels have really worked for you.
Well, my background was what they call shoe leather sales, which is, a term that old salesmen used to use, where you get in the car with a tank of gas and some brochures and samples and just drive. And obviously, with the internet now, I was able to get locations of kitchen and bath dealers and builders and other companies I was going to market. So that was my first run, was just a hand-to-hand handshake, a brochure, a little bit of my gift of gab. And, since then I've done some radio, I've done some print magazines such as Traverse Magazine and Lifestyles Magazine. And I've also done some television. To a certain extent, they've all worked per se. Some are more expensive than others, I can tell you that. The referrals actually are probably my key thing now. I've been established this long. Not that I don't need to advertise. Anybody that doesn't think they have to advertise, I think has their head in the sand. I mean, to this day, I never say, "Oh, Terry, you made it." I'm always looking at kind of growing a business and getting my name out there. There's still, believe it or not, a fair amount of customers that come through the door, even in Williamsburg and or Cadillac, that say, "I never heard of you." And when I hear that, I know it kind of takes me back a little bit. I'm like, "Whoa, okay." I got a couple buildings. I've been on TV. I got, fancy signs, and I thought I was doing okay, but there's a fair amount of people that still don't know we exist, and I want to reach out to them. TV's actually hands-on probably been the best bang for my buck. There's a negative with the TV is they throw a pretty big net out there, more than I'd like to cover, to be honest with you. It's not like I don't like doing jobs in the UP and Alpena and all that, but it turns out that, I still got to pay a guy to template it, and I got to send two guys because you can't carry granite typically by yourself. I mean, it's a small piece. So it's a two-man and sometimes a three-man job. And so, I'm paying two guys in a cube van to drive 3 hours. Sometimes it's just not practical. It's not that I don't want to do the work, but it's just, time, weather conditions, heaven forbid anything happened where my vehicle broke down or whatever. It just would be not cost effective for me. So I try and concentrate now in about a 75 to 90 mile radius from Cadillac, which still is a pretty big territory.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people, and I think that's even a larger than what a lot of contractors or construction people will do. So that's good. I think that you were kind of touching on that, and I think that nowadays, I don't even have TV. I use Netflix and Hulu, and I get subscriptions like that now, Amazon and those things. So I think you're right. If somebody comes in, I think that's kind of the time, and they haven't heard of you, that's kind of the changing times with the internet. Absolutely. And I know you do stuff on the internet. I've seen a lot of your posts on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm looking to improve that 100%. If anything, I'm a little bit old school. When I went to high school, there was no such things as computers. So, and kind of being a granite guy, for a better lack of terms, I'm not really the keenest on computers and that. So now I've got a couple employees that have helped me out with that. I've got advice from other people that have done well. The internet, especially, I'm addicted to my phone, probably like others. So anyway, searching from your phone, your website's huge, Twitter, Facebook, them are things that I'm starting to really do more of, to be honest with you. So looking forward to that, the second wave of advertising. The TV is great, like you said, but obviously someone made a comment to me. He says, well, certain areas don't have cable. Some people can't afford cable. Not necessarily that they can't afford granite, but they don't need cable based on their lifestyle. So you miss a variety of people based on logistics, to be honest with you. Where the internet, I'd like to think most people have internet or search the web, things of that nature.
Well, I think you're right. I think most people at least have a smartphone nowadays, don't they?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
So Terry, lots of great information. They can find you at CadillacCutstone.com, right there on Boone Road. How far from 131 west of 131 are you?
exactly 1.5 miles. It's very convenient to get to. We're right across from the Wexford County Airport, which is obviously a large open field with a few planes in it. Just down from the hot corner there where there's Myers and Walmart, basically, and the Williamsville location too is actually in a dynamite spot. It's actually between the new Myers, as we call it. I live in Williamsburg, which has been great, and the Turtle Creek Casino, which is kind of a landmark. So, right in between the two facilities, you'll find, the residents, you'll see them locations. They're both easy to get to. Both locations are open 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and Saturday, as today, 9 to 1, which tends to be a pretty good day. A lot of husbands and wife has time off together. Usually it's a selection that takes two people, and I've had people bring their family members in. I've had people bring in another set of eyes just to make sure that it's approved of what they're purchasing, so forth.
Yeah, I know. If I was going to redo my kitchen and get a granite countertop, I know I would have to bring my wife to make that decision. Absolutely. Terry, a lot of contractors, people in the skilled trade or serve the skilled trade, kind of like yourself, are listening. What kind of a tip, what can you tell them that would help them become successful in their business?
Well, just brass tacks, to be honest with you. Just do what you say you're going to do. Don't overcommit. Which is easy to do. When I first started, I wouldn't say no to anything, which was kind of a bad trait of mine. I was doing vanities and Sheboygan and all that, which all turned out well, but it was just I had a little nervous energy. I can do it, and I did it all. It cost me my hair and a few other things, but I would say obviously a confidence of knowing what you're doing. This market requires quality work. I can tell you the market that I'm in, people will pick you apart if it's not done correctly. It's a hot market. So with that said, leave the proper lead times that are accurate. My company ranges from 2 to 3 weeks all the way to maybe 6 to 8 weeks in the middle of the summer, depending on the workload. So I put that right up front. Some people come in and have a wedding or they're hot to trot. Trust me, I do my best to accommodate them, but if I can't, I just tell them up front because I'd rather not overpromise and under-deliver. Referrals are excellent too. I've got some contractor friends of mine that they do remodels kind of. They get into a home or a subdivision and they almost never leave because kind of like in my house in Williamsburg, a quick story. Last year I had 15 red pines taken down, some stumps grinded, which just is an improvement on my property. And guess what? My neighbor got 30 trees done, and then my other neighbor 4 houses down got 10 trees and some. So it's just kind of like a snowball effect. Marketing your company right, doing a job correctly, especially in northern Michigan. Downstate where I originated, there's a lot more people and a lot more companies, so people could jump around a little bit more. Here, it's a little bit more of a network. Let's say referrals are key, word of mouth key. Things of that nature is probably the best thing I could advise contractors is just do what you say you're going to do and do the best of your ability and be honest with the people, and good things happen.
I love that. I love do what you say you're going to do because I hear horror stories, people with contractors that say, okay, I'm going to be here next week, and then they're sitting there and made time out for that, and that contractor never shows up, doesn't tell them, that they weren't there. So, and I think, I think that's just great advice all the way around. Do what you say you're going to do, right?
Oh yeah, especially I've heard a lot of the horror stories. If there's a negative, if any, in my businesses, I tend to be almost one of the last companies in. The countertops usually are almost the last thing to go in, other than maybe some tile or some trim or knick-knack stuff. So a lot of times I'll maybe take the brunt of a bad situation where there's been delays. Right now in the industry, there's quite a bit of delays in sinks and cabinets. I've got some kitchen and bath dealers I deal with where if you were to order a cabinet today, you're not going to see the cabinets for 8 to 10 weeks. Same thing with sinks from manufacturers as Kohler as a big name. A lot of their sinks now are 4 to 8 weeks on back order, which I think a lot of this stemmed from the recession. Everybody kind of panicked, and I think companies now are starting to mass produce goods again. I think there's kind of be a light at the end of the tunnel eventually, but right now, I've got some builders that can't get wood right now. It's like a fight over womanized wood, so it's just the times we live in right now. The granite and stone industry, there's been some delays due to COVID with some of the quarries not shipping out the granite and quartzite as timely as they once were. But there's still a good food chain. There's still ample amount of material coming in. There really hasn't been, if any, much of all increase as well in natural stone, which is huge. Other products, wood comes into mind, so forth. The prices have increased based on COVID for one of them and supply and demand. With the natural stone business, it's stayed kind of true the last 3 to 5 years. There's not been that much of an increase across the board. A little bit here and there. The engineered quartz is kind of a roller coaster. That's a product that's growing, and a lot of different lines are coming into market. And so, I can't control that. I can control the natural stone because we buy that directly. I guess I never really got into our companies. One of the few companies we directly import our own natural stone. So we're not buying it per se from a distributor. Distributors are good business. Trust me, I was into it for 16 years, but we've eliminated that food chain. So we're buying directly from Brazil and Spain and a little bit from India. My partner actually goes there and hand picks the material. He enjoys the trip. And so we go and pick the hot colors or colors that we've had a history of selling and continue purchasing them. A lot of time this market, the exotics are the exotics are newer materials that are, let's call them one-off unique, kind of like a work of art. Them are getting the most attention right now. They're up to pay scale, but the sales on them are good because a lot of customers of mine are maybe second or third time purchasers of natural stone, where they kind of had the base model, let's call it, and now they're looking at the Mercedes, for a better lack of terms, which is good for me and good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great thing that you guys are sourcing it yourself. You're hand picking it, so you're not just ordering it from a warehouse. You're not saying, hey, I need 14 more slabs. You guys are going, you have all your equipment there in-house. You were talking about CNC machines, all the laser cutter, all the stuff to take care of people right there.
Yeah, the material is just one thing. There's several segments in the business that makes it kind of a custom application. I mean, we do laser templates, which my templater, Tom, I wouldn't be here without him, to be honest with you. The accuracy is tremendous. From there, it goes to a plotter, and my CNC guy has been with me a while. That we plot out this clear plastic that duplicates your future countertops. We lay it on a slab to see the best movement, the best yield. Then that's programmed into our CNC machine, which we have 2 of. So there's very little done by hand. The cutting's all done with Italian equipment. The sink cutouts, the radiuses, all the tricky stuff, for better lack of terms, is done with CNC equipment, which I swear by. And then the actual detail work or the polishing is done by hand. I feel that I get a better quality polish in finished product polishing by hand. So some people polish with CNC machines. I tend not to do that. It tends to leave a few what we call machining lines. I just always polish by hand. So a lot of the guys I've had have been with me a while, that know the procedure, that we know the material. Some materials fight me, and some go through the machines easy. It's just a matter of really a lot of things. There's different hardnesses of stones. Some stones want to break, for a better lack of terms. I hate to say that word, but they're more sensitive. They've got these what we call natural fissures, which are separations in the minerals that make it tricky to work on. And there's an expense too. if you measure a job wrong, you might as well not even get out of bed, because you're not going to get anywhere with it. If the pieces don't fit, if the job's not within industry standards, A, I don't put my name behind it, and B, the customer's not going to be happy. So
I think that everything you just said is absolutely true. If it doesn't fit, if it doesn't look right, the customer's not going to be happy. You don't want to put your name on it. Terry, thank you for being here with me today. It was a great interview. I learned a lot about Cadillac Cut Stone. They can find you at CadillacCutStone.com. Like I said before, you have great photos on there, lots of information where they can get a hold of you. They can find you in Cadillac in Williamsburg very easily, right there off of 72 and Boone Road. Yeah, if you enjoy, thank you again for being here, Terry. I appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Like it, subscribe to our channel, hit that bell so that way you're notified every time we put out a new episode, which will be Tuesdays. And Terry, again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, Terry.
Right. Bye now.
If you would like to be a guest on this show, head on over to MichiganContractorShow.com, fill out the form. I'll get back to you and we'll figure out a great time for you to appear on an episode. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you on Tuesday.